All right, guys, welcome back to the No Victim podcast. This is episode 6. Today we're in my house in Sarasota, Florida. It's just me and Pablo today. Of course, my co-host Pablo, and we have a third guest, my dog Charlie. We will be checking in with him to see if he has any wisdom to drop on us, but he'll probably just be absorbing all the knowledge. Anyway, guys, today I want to take a different approach here with this podcast, and I want to make it a very practical, value-filled podcast for you guys. And what I want to talk to you today about, and what me and Pablo are going to discuss, is basically how to start a business, right? So I've been in entrepreneurship full-time, legally for 2.5 years. I got my LLC July 2022, so been in business for, almost 3 years now. I know Pablo's been in business for a few years now, and I decided that we would take this podcast and just show you guys very practically how to go from like the actual steps, because me and Pablo both did this. We both left our 9-to-5s and used different jobs that we had, different life experiences, to kind of mold our path and get to where we are today. So I thought it would be a good idea for you guys that watch this podcast that are into fitness, you're into business, you're into tattoos, you like the same stuff that we like, for you guys that watch the podcast to learn something from it. Sometimes we have guests, and sometimes of course there's always knowledge and value being dropped in these podcasts, but today I wanted to take a more practical, of course we'll have, conversations about our experiences and stuff like that, but I want to take a more practical approach here and actually show you guys business 101, how to start a business, what you actually need to do, to, run a successful business, making multiple 6 figures, working for yourself. So, I want to start by kind of talking about our previous experiences leading up to leaving the 9-to-5 and ended up going to start our own businesses, because I know, Pablo, you worked in a grocery store, you did network marketing, you had a few different jobs, and then you worked for someone, you were filming weddings, he taught you some stuff, and then you ended up going on your own, and now you are heavily involved in like the media content creation side of things. I come from, a fitness background, where I've been working out since I was 14, 15 years old. And then I've now transcended that into a business. So I guess I'll have Pablo start with this, and I'll ask him this question, because I know what my answer is to this, but we all know that if you want to start a business, you need to have some sort of value to deliver to people in order to get paid in exchange for it, right? So the first thing of starting a business is not an LLC. It's not a business bank account. It's not any of those. Maybe those are steps 2 through 5, but the first step and the most important one is to actually have a skill and be good at something. What do you think about that, bro?
100%. I think a lot of people, when they start a business, obviously a big piece of business is financial. Like it's for financial gain, it's for freedom, maybe, some people may think, but I would say a lot of business is more so providing something that's going to help people, and I feel like a lot of people have the ability to do something incredibly well, a gift that they may possess, that they maybe haven't even found within themselves yet, but they have it and it's in there, and you need to really pay attention to the very basic stuff, like what comes to you naturally, like what do you do, and like you absolutely like light up when you do it. Like,
I love that you said that, and actually I'll continue on that, and I would say, maybe, I'm sure you've had this experience too, but when we work these jobs, right, you were at Weiss, Weiss, by the way, guys, is a grocery store in our area where we grew up, and I've worked 35 fucking different jobs, so I think
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you guys want to hear them all?
You probably forgot most of them at this point.
I mean, I could probably go through. I don't even want to remember.
Warehouses really is a lot of it.
I remember the most exhausted I was, though. I was delivering wine, working at UPS, and then bouncing on the weekends. I was doing all 3 at once. Yeah, I was super fucking tired. Had like 1 day off a week, barely ever slept. Don't recommend it, but it did help me get ahead. So actually I want to talk about this because I think that every person watching this who isn't a business owner yet, but knows that they definitely want to be. They know the 9 to 5 is not for them. They're fucking, they want to rip their hair out when they have a 5-minute conversation with their coworkers because they can't relate on any level. And when it comes to success, they're not really feeling understood by anyone around them. So what would you say were those first initial inclinations of entrepreneurship? Did you have any of them when you were like at the supermarket?
Honestly, not really. We both, so for those that don't know, we come from a very small town. So a lot of people are, they either have a job or they either have their own business, but it's like labor intensive.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, while all this is happening, we're at this time period in our lives, we are in a hardcore band, actively playing shows for hundreds of people, guys. Practicing multiple times a week at our guitarist's house. And that was like our version of, I wouldn't say entrepreneurship, but I would say that during those moments, we learned a lot of business aspects that maybe even just kind of saying out loud now, I'm realizing wow, we were doing marketing on MySpace. We were doing marketing on Facebook, and this is before Instagram was even a thing, right? We would hand out fucking flyers.
Pushing tickets.
Right? Yeah, pushing tickets. I mean, we would literally be like, we'd get the tickets for the local show, and it would be like all week we're in school trying to sell them. Meet me after school, meet me at Penn Jersey, which is a gas station near our high school. We'd say, sell these tickets. And I think that's a really good example of showing it was almost effortless, because now, is it hard? Could it be hard to start a band? Yeah. Will you be judged by others? Probably. Are you going to make money if you don't, all the time if you're in a band? Probably not. But the point I'm trying to make is that while other people looked at us and would think I want to do that. I want to be in a band, or I want to do this. I want to do that. It came natural for us is because we weren't trying to be something that we're not. So I think this is really important, is that, when we get out of school, we would practice. We'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, man. Fuck. So glad school's over. Now we're playing music in the band. We can hang out. Now we can, grab a slice of pizza, and we can work and have a great, time practicing and we can build this band, build the set list, make all our songs. And we knew for sure that we didn't like high school. So keep this in mind. This is a gem right here, guys. When you find what you like, you simultaneously find everything else that you hate, right?
Oh, yes.
And have I been passionate about fitness since I was 15, 14 years old? 100%, absolutely. Was that one of the main driving factors? Absolutely. Do you know what an even bigger driving factor was to start my business? Because I didn't want to have to do the things that a 9 to 5er had to do. I didn't want to have to work for a boss. I didn't want to have my income capped. I didn't want to have to be on time for a job that I didn't necessarily care for. And I didn't like having my freedom. I didn't like not having my freedom. I didn't like only having my weekends to do shit. And because of that, you experience a level of, maybe it's mild, but it's like suffering, right? Where you're like, I feel like I'm not living life to the fullest. And because of that, I'm sure you've noticed, when you were you were stuck in produce, right? At the supermarket.
I was.
And even later in life, bro, where you're making 50 racks a year at fucking working for Scott, right? Doing the video work. And again, I'll let you speak on this yourself, but sure. I feel like there's those moments where even though we're being pushed, and we had our mentors and we had our kind of we're pushed along the way, but we come to find our own path through the avoidance of doing the things that we don't want to do. That's not me. That's not an activity that I'm going to engage in. I'm going to worry about my fitness. I want to wake up. I want to pop up my laptop and do my work. I don't want to go fucking dig ditches. Do you know what I'm saying? You start to decide what you want and don't want out of life early on.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people are so focused on, we always say this, the end destination of I want to be this, instead of focusing on who you are and 100%. What makes you what you. So for us in the band, we had that goal, maybe we'll tour, maybe we'll be this, band, whatever. But we also thoroughly, my goodness, we thoroughly enjoyed exactly where we were, which is band practice, the next show, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I would say collectively, to just the two of us, it happens to be the two of us, we both had the band, which actually kind of started, even subconsciously without us knowing, this selling, promoting type of behavior. For me personally, I've said my story a million times, but like I met two mentors in New York City. They kind of taught me like this idea of like a way to think, what's possible in business. That was my initial start. Because again, coming from a small town, neither one of my parents were business owners. So I didn't like grow up in that. I saw my two mentors. I kind of started to follow them. What for you, I never even asked you this, what for you outside of the band, maybe, what was your first initial touch with like entrepreneurship or like, what maybe making money outside of what you even knew was possible? You know what I'm saying? Maybe someone like rich in your family, or I don't even know. Like,
100%.
What was your first touch with that?
I mean, my first experience with wealth was actually one of my mom's good friends.
Okay.
Who we actually used to call her our auntie. And
she had money.
She came from a very rich family.
Good. So
from a young age, I was under the impression that you're either born into money or you're not. That's like that was how I was like, we're middle class. It's just the way it is. It's like,
and there's no changing that.
There's no changing that. Yeah. You're not you're not going to win the lottery. You're not Drake. So give up, right? It's stupid. Yeah, like that's literally how I used to think, right? But genuinely, bro, like my first like real, I guess, experience with business ownership was when it came very practically, right? Now I'll actually say like I would say my number one business mentor, like over everybody was probably Andy Frisella. Now I say he was my business mentor. I've actually never spoken a single word to him, but I listened to his podcast so heavily on repeat, and it was always in my ear, and I would study, everything he would say, and the books he would recommend, I would go read those books. And he was kind of the one that made me realize like entrepreneur. I didn't even know what the fuck entrepreneurship was. Like I heard the word before, like I'm like, is that a I used to think like entrepreneur is like a conquistador, like a
like a Mexican fighter.
Yeah, like a Mexican traveler. Like I don't even know what the fuck. I genuinely, this is at 18, guys. Like this is so okay. So keep this in mind, guys. This is at 18. A lot of you guys are 18 and you're already like, you have basic business knowledge. You understand how to, transact on a, and I don't even know what the word means, and I'm 18 years old.
So just to be fair, in our time, so like he's 28, I'm 30, right? So like when we were in high school, college age, it wasn't as cool yet. It was becoming like, oh, whoa, like, but like, if anything, it was a little bit more of like you were made fun of for it, or, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like we didn't even know it. You didn't even know what that meant. And like, I wouldn't have known had I not met my mentors. Like I wouldn't have known. So I think nowadays a lot of 18-year-olds are running around like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a coach, all these things. It's like, but it's becoming like a fun, not fun, like it's becoming like a hot topic, like a thing that
100%. And really getting back into practically like how to start a business here, guys. Like business ownership is hard, right? But I agree with what you're saying. There is kind of this trend nowadays where people they call themselves entrepreneur, or whether they are or aren't. That's not really for me to decide. It's more like I'm learning that people, they realize and recognize the fact that really to start a business, to start one, and really to, it's a very low barrier to entry, right? We were just talking about this before, specifically our businesses, right? I'm an online coach. My overhead is software, my overhead is, a couple apps, you know what I mean? Like I don't really have business overhead, and my employees, right? Like that's my overhead, but my margins are very high. And also this business is very low barrier to entry. So keep that in mind, guys. Like I didn't go start a landscaping company. Not saying you can't and be massively successful, but you guys have to realize that like number one, what's number one to starting a business? It's knowing what you're good at. It's having skills.
Well, knowing what you're good at, I think also just being self-aware enough to know, like, this is not for everybody. Yeah. Just knowing that, like, just being aware, like, I would look at entrepreneurship and business as like review it and like ask questions, ask people that are already ahead of you, and just see if this is something that you want to do. Because this is not for everybody, and that's okay. We're not better or anything. It's just it's a path that we took that we know we're created for. So I would say once you kind of figure that out and you're self-aware and you know that this is for you, then you have to have the skill and something that you can sell, 100%. Whether it be your service or your product. It has to be good, and you have to be good at it.
Yeah, that's another thing too, guys. Like I think that's such a good point that you're saying here, because there's a lot of people that are skilled as fuck but poor because they don't know how to sell.
And but they can also utilize, like, being a number one in a company isn't for everyone, you could be a really amazing number two.
And you're 100% right. And Pablo, yes. And at the same time, even if you're in a organization, you're still selling yourself in the interview. You get what I'm saying? And this is where I think the cross between, I'm sure you guys have, your parents, or maybe they're academically successful, or maybe they're not, but I'm sure you've maybe heard of or met some people, they have the diplomas on the wall and all this shit, but like they're not actually successful. Like they're not actually financially successful. And you guys have to understand that, like, and we'll say part two is here of, is knowing what you're good at, having skills, but really knowing how to sell. And I think people don't understand what the word sales, they fundamentally don't understand what it means. And I didn't understand what it means until I actually learned and then experienced it for myself. You know what I mean? I mean, guys, I do sales every day in my company. I've closed literally thousands of fucking sales calls at this point for literally thousands of dollars a piece. So keep that in mind. Like I used to suck at sales. Like I literally I could not sell a fucking GNC supplement when I worked at GNC. You know what I'm saying? But what I realized was I wasn't really promoting something or offering something that was valuable in my opinion. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if I'm selling pipe fitting or plumbing, I don't give a fuck about, what I'm saying, or roofing. I don't have a roof, like I don't own this house, so like you guys have to understand that, like, practically you're going to be able to sell something that you actually believe in. So keep that in mind. Like whether you start a business or whether you wholeheartedly believe in solar and you think it's the future, that's going to actually help you be able to close more deals when you're out there door knocking or whatever, right? I mean, dude, even if you work the most, basic job, if you want to get a $2 raise, guess what you have to do? You have to sell your manager on the fact that you deserve $2 more than what you're getting paid for. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean, I just want to say, I feel like good sales shouldn't be salesy. No. I feel like sales is sharing a genuine thing that can help someone, and then they can say yes or no. I've actually heard it put almost like some of the best salesmen in the world are waitresses offering you coffee. Because when you are sitting at a diner or whatever, a restaurant, and they say, hey, you want some more coffee? They're offering to you, if you want coffee, the answer back is not emotion. There's no emotion attached to the answer. It's either just yes or no. Meaning, like, when you have something and you know that it's good and you know that you're good at it, realize that, like, not everybody is going to be your customer, but you have something for everyone, but you don't need everyone.
100%.
Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, and that helps looking at this instead of this, like, massive, like, oh my God, I've started a business. Like, I work a manual labor job. Like, how am I going to start a business? Like, what? Taxes, accounting, marketing, sales, fucking operations, fulfillment. Like, what? Oh my God, it seems like so much, but you don't focus on all of that at once. Get what I'm saying? You focus on what you need to focus that day. You get what I'm saying? And the reason I'm saying that is, I like that you said that before. What did you just say before? Something about?
Just about, like, sales shouldn't be salesy. And then obviously you have something to offer people. But the thing too, like, also just to that point real fast, is like, I think people get so hung up in the beginning. So, okay, it's step one. You have your skill, your product, like, it's good, you're ready to, to sell it. I think people get hung up on needing customers at the beginning. I remember that feeling. And even moments to this day where I feel like I need, because I got to pay my bills, I got to do my stuff, like, you kind of need people. And then eventually you have enough that you get past the need. Yes. Because people can feel, when you sell something and you need them to buy it, they can feel it, whether they realize it or not. 100%. And I don't think sales should be about that, you needing them. No. Sales is you having an offer and you don't need them. Yeah. You would like them, of course, but you don't need them. And I think 100%. When you come from a need and, like, that, almost like a begging.
Like a desperation.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can feel you when you're on your knees desperate for it.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's like, I think sales should be almost offered from a standing, confident position.
Yes,
I have
absolutely.
something to give you.
Yes.
You can take it, but
Yes.
you don't have to.
100%. And kind of continuing off with that, with the sales thing, it's now, this doesn't mean by any means, this doesn't mean, and Pablo is not saying this, to be passive, right? Like if Pablo does, I'm gonna speak for you here. Pablo does a lot of in-person like meetings, right? Like if Pablo is gonna sell someone on before social media, because he just started like really on social media last year, like ended last year.
Barely.
Or like the beginning of this year.
Probably 6 months. It's honestly been.
If someone says no, they don't need someone to come in to do content, you're not immediately going to say, oh, okay, cool, let me know when you do. You're probably going to ask them like, oh, okay, like, well, what's your goal with the business?
Well, often people don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're saying no to.
100%.
So you just have to help them make sure that it's a no.
Yeah.
So you're not desperate, back to that, but you are like, you funnel people.
100%.
And then you I would say it's almost like sorting. Yeah. You sort through people.
100%.
So yes, back to your point, I'll let you finish, but yeah, it's like you make sure you get a confident no out of someone. A lot of people don't know what they're saying no to.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of thing with sales is like, guys, like notice how the first thing we started with was, what are you good at? Like you have to understand that if you're skilled at something, you're going to feel, if someone says, hey, can you help me with this? If you know cars in and out and someone's like, hey bro, can you tell me how to fix this piece on my car, blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, yeah, man, call me. Like, I'll tell you exactly how to do it. I'll tell you all the tools you need, right? You're confident in your ability to be able to get the job done. Get what I'm saying? So when someone approaches you, like you have to realize, like, I get the messages, guys. I know a lot of you young guys, you see the content, you see my content, you see other people's content, you see, we're making money and all this shit. And guys, it literally starts with being good at something. I think that there's too many people expecting to just start a business and they're confused at what actually goes into business. So really quick, I want to switch gears. I want to take a more practical approach here, guys. And I want to actually explain to you like how step by step, based off the knowledge that we just explained with having a product and having a service, understanding sales and the importance of it, how do you actually then turn that into a profitable business? Let's say we'll do a scenario here where someone's at a 9 to 5. They're good at something. It could be anything. But they want to then take that, let's say they're making, 50 grand a year and they want to make 50 to 100 grand on their own, right? Well, what are the steps that they would take? Now, there's 2 ways you could go about this. There's only 2. You can save up your money. You can put together a little nest egg. You can pace yourself for that big day that you're going to quit the job, and you could have your expenses saved and put in a little account and have a nice little safety net so that when you quit your job, you can have a month of not working. Or you can do something that has a 99% success rate and you can just hit the ground running, right? Now, look, if you are a grown man and you have kids and you have a mortgage and you have bills, it's probably not as good of an idea. But I know and I'll even say his name, Ola, one of my elite clients. He did just that. He had 2 kids under the age of like 10, a wife, a mortgage. He quit his car dealership job and then went all in on social media and coaching. So, and he made $10,000 in his first month. Now, is that kind of unheard of? I would say yes, but the number one most important trait is that he knew he was gonna be able to do it. Why? Because he had 2 fucking kids, a mortgage, and a wife, bro. The stakes were high as fuck. If he didn't make 10K a month, his kids aren't gonna fucking eat. You know what I'm saying? The entire lifestyle, his family's lifestyle changes if he doesn't put in the work. So he was successful because of it. So when I left my job, when I left my 9 to 5, I knew that I could coach. I knew that I could make money as a coach. And I had my little clients on the side. I probably had like 2 or 3. And then I needed time. I needed time. That's what I realized. See, a lot of you guys haven't even had this realization yet. You think you need money. You think that the problem is that the job doesn't pay you enough. There's actually a problem below that. There's a problem deeper than not having the money because you work at a job that doesn't pay you the wage that you think you deserve. The problem is that you literally don't have the time to think and put in the work on your business, right? Because think about it. You work 40 hours a week. Some of you guys, like me, are working 60 fucking hours a week. So when you get home, and sorry, Gary V, but sometimes when you work in the fucking sun all day for 12 hours, you don't really want to work at the end of your day. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's you can do it, but it's like doing it with an anchor attached to your ankle or with a weight vest on. It's going to be way fucking harder. You get what I'm saying? Now, I want you to picture this, because what people don't realize is that when they leave a job, they're actually opening up new spaces of time and energy, right? So you have time, energy, and money. Those are the resources. Those are the resources that you have, right? Time, energy, and money. When you don't have the money anymore because you quit your job, there is a homeostasis that you could call between time, energy, and money. And you either have one elevated, or while the other you're trying to either buy or work or nurture. Get what I'm saying? So keep this in mind, guys. If you leave your job, of course, you're not gonna have that secure income, right? Maybe it'll take you, a month to get your first sale. It's possible. But keep this in mind. You now have new time, new energy that you didn't have before. All this extra time and energy that is now, guess what? It's literally there for you to spend that time hustling and working on your business and growing something. Guys, I'll say there's actually an honorable mention. There's an honorable mention between the two. You can save up a nest, you can go all out and just leave, but I'll say there's an honorable mention. This could be like the third option, right? And that's finding a segue job. What I did was find a segue job. I did Uber and Lyft, guys. Now, this is the truth. What guy who makes 3 to 4 grand a month, $4,000, I don't even ever think I made $4,000 a month at that job, but what guy who has a decent job paying his bills, car payment, rent, all that shit, is going to leave that job at 25 years old and then start to Uber and Lyft because he thinks it's going to give him more time to work on his business? I just was under the impression that it would. See, but that's what most people, they're too scared to make themselves look stupid. You don't think I felt like a fucking idiot driving Uber and Lyft at age 25 in the middle of Philly, driving over fucking potholes every fucking 2 miles? Of course, I felt like a dumbass. I literally felt sad. I was really sad, but what else could I do? I literally had to keep pushing. And I can genuinely tell you, in my life, I have never had that much energy before. Why? Because fucking day one, I wake up, I'm like, holy fuck, dude. I literally walked out of the best job I ever had. And my only option of making money right now, this week, is Uber and Lyft. So I did it for 6 weeks and then segue into social media. But all that time was spent making videos over and over again. You get what I'm saying? And then we can get into how I actually turn that into money in a second.
Just something I want to say to your point. I think it's magical what you're saying. Like, I think a lot of people are too comfortable. Like, a lot of people are way too comfortable with their job. They're way too comfortable with the time that they have. And again, we're just talking to business owners right now. These are people that either are business owners, want to be business owners. Like, we're even talking to ourselves to some degree.
Always talking to myself.
Always. Like, a lot of this is honestly for us.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm glad that you can hear it too, but it's really to us as well. It's comfort. I remember my mentor telling me that. He's like, Pablo, I think you're too comfortable. And there's something about that discomfort, about waking up every day, knowing that you have to do a certain amount of rides or whatever to get your rent paid. I mean, you've told me about that story where you were sitting there, rent was about to come out and the money was not there. And you had to make that last ride and you just made the money and it just went through and you sat back in your driver's seat of your car like, so I don't even know where you were, alone somewhere. Sure. And it's like, that is called discomfort. And again, back to the self-awareness thing, that's not for everybody. But I think that there is some level of call it what you want, magic, power, something spiritual about putting your back up against the wall and having no other option.
I mean, I was literally like, just when you explained that, I literally have the chills because I remember what I thought in that moment, and it was like two thoughts existing at the same time. I felt defeated because I was like, well, this isn't really the way it's supposed to go. I literally was like, am I just gonna do Uber and Lyft now? I'm like, what? During this time, guys, you have to understand, I'm also sitting in random parking lots between rides, kind of like mentally tormented. I'm like, should I be an electrician? Should I go back to college? Should I do this? Should I should I be a plumber? Should I go in the union? Like, I was literally Googling, like, how can I make 100? This is a few weeks before I started social media. A few weeks. And then from June to October, I gained over 250,000 followers on TikTok. The only reason that happened was because when I was in that car, the other thought that existed at the same time as defeat was like, if you can imagine, like, I had this overwhelming feeling of like, almost like this hero's like tale where I'm like, they're gonna know my fucking name. Like, I'm gonna become so, I don't have a strategy. I don't have nothing, bro. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. And I'm making TikToks on the side, but nothing's popping off, right? I'm still, guys, and I'm still doing it. Like, but no one's taking me seriously. I'm not gaining followers. I haven't made a single like viral video yet, right? And then I'm like, okay, I have to figure out, because the whole time I'm listening to entrepreneurship podcasts, I'm like trying to seek that mentorship, right? And they're telling me, start a personal brand. You need to start a personal brand. If you don't start a personal brand, you're fucking up. You're missing out. You're gonna regret it. All this shit. Billie Jean is marketing, and fucking Andy Frisella, and the Brad Lees and the Bezos Koulians. They're all like, you got to start a personal brand. So I'm like, okay. Now, what I did was, guys, I started to make content on TikTok, and I didn't have a strategy. My strategy was 10 TikToks a day, all out, give everything you fucking got to every video to try to pull traffic in any way you possibly can, whether it's being funny, being an asshole, being, arrogant, showing your physique, following trends, anything I could do to bring in traffic, because I didn't care. I knew that if I could just bring in traffic, I'm going to sign clients. And this was the day that it all changed for me, guys. So guys, I had no funnel. There was no fucking landing page. There was none of this bullshit that you guys think there was no website. There was none of this bullshit that you guys that literally don't even make 5K a month in your coaching business think that you fucking need. There was none of that shit. All there was, it was real content coming from my real personality, relentless fucking volume. You could not open your fucking phone and not see my dumbass face on your fucking feed. Relentless volume. And then another thing was, I knew I had something to offer. I was jacked. I'm in shape. I'm in good shape. You get what I'm saying? So I said, okay, well, I need to somehow talk to these people if they want to get in contact with me. So you know what I started to do? I just started to put my email and everything. I put my email. My email was the caption of every single post. So I'm posting 10, 20 times a day. So keep that in mind. So my email is getting flooded daily. And I'm bringing in leads to gabrieljanace@gmail.com, right? And I'm closing people for $150 a month, $150 a month. This is 2021, 2022? Yeah, 2022.
How many years ago was that from right now?
I think it was less than 3 years ago.
So in other words, less than 5.
Oh, way less than 5. Yeah.
And life just changed in what way?
Drastically. It was super fucking
So
fast.
this doesn't take, this doesn't take 40 years?
No, this doesn't take 40 years. Guys, if you want to build a massive, huge fucking brand, it takes a long time. Of course. Put in work. You're in it for the long haul. If you want to leave your 9 to 5, you can do it in 3 fucking months. You can do it in 1 month. You could literally do it it's up to you. Literally, it's up to you. How long you want to be at that bullshit fucking job. If you hate it, if you're happy at it and you're building your fucking you're helping your boss and your managers build an organization, fuck yeah, do that. I have employees too. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't want to do that, if you feel out of place, if you know there's more for you, then you have to go and you have to harness that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't waiting. I wasn't fucking trying to find the best strategy at all. I would wake up every day and I would say, okay, I'm just gonna keep making videos. And you know what? It was amazing because my anxiety, because I didn't know how I was gonna pay my bills. My brother actually pulled through one of the months and threw me $1,000 to help me pay my rent. Shout out to Christian. I would have these ideas that they would come to me non-fucking stop. And people would be like, how are you coming up with this shit? And I would literally, I felt like it was like spiritual. I felt like God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, at that moment was kind of reaching out to me and saying, I got you, just trust me on this, keep making videos, just keep making videos. I know that you just left your job. I know that things are weird right now, but I'm gonna keep giving you these ideas, just keep executing on it, keep making videos. And then I remember there was this one video that I made, and it was in my apartment gym. I was working out, and the caption was, you can bulk, put on muscle without gaining fat and have a lean, defined look, but most people are just doing it wrong, right? That was like the words on the video. And I said, but most people aren't ready to talk about that. I said, but if you are ready, DM me and I can give you the solution. I got like, that got like 400,000 views, that video. And that brought, I must have got 300 DMs that night. I closed $9,000 worth of $150 a month programs. So keep that in mind. We'll do the math actually. We'll say 900, not all of them were 150. Some of them were like 400 more money for like more months, but we'll say average, right? That's 60 clients in like 2 days.
Fitness and nutrition.
Fitness coaching, nutrition coaching. And you know what it was, guys? It was literally a Google document. They would email me, say they want it. I would send them my pricing and everything that comes with it. They would sign up. I would write their program. I'd send them the Google document. I'd say, email me if you have any questions. And that's how I started it, guys. Now, then I got sponsored by Young LA. Then I started, networking with other people, flying here and there. And then my income started going up and up and up and up. And then I remember I had a clothing drop. I had a good month with Young LA. I had a clothing drop. I was already not with Young LA at this point. Clothing drop, and then coaching, and then all together I made like 12 grand that month. And I was like, holy shit, that's the most money I've ever made in a month, 12 grand. And then a few months later, hit my first $20,000 a month, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, this is actually really happening. And keep in mind, guys, I didn't have like the perfect like business structure. I wasn't like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that every day I was just gonna try my best. And that's the point, is you guys are wasting time by thinking that you need the perfect fucking system and the perfect fucking this and that, and you're not even trying. You just, that is the problem with coaching, right? Is that, do you need coaching? 99% of the time, every single person is going to need a coach at some point in their life. But even with the best coach, guess what you have to do with the newfound knowledge and the new mentorship? You have to go apply yourself, right? You have to take action.
There's power in resistance, I'd say. So like, I'd say success honestly is like a slingshot. Yeah. I've heard it put this way once, and it makes so much more sense the more you hear you speak. Yeah. I think a lot of people, they have a slingshot, in life, whatever product or thing you want to sell, whatever you want to do, and they begin to pull to try. You have to try pull. But the minute that they're met with resistance, they let back because it's too hard. Yeah. You in those parking lots by yourself. Yeah. This can't be it. This isn't right. It's actually the power is in that resistance of like, well, I'm going to just pull a little harder, and pull a little harder, and you pull to the point where eventually something will give. And then success is like, it's like a catapult. The minute you get to the top of your resistance point and you give everything you've got, it's almost like you jumped to with 2 feet. You let go, and it's like you can have a life that you never even, your literal reality can be better than the dreams that you had, you know? Because like your dreams are one thing, they're very like almost like 2D, but when you actually live it, it's like a 3-dimensional life that you didn't know was possible. You can start to do things that you didn't know were possible. You can start to make income that you didn't know was possible. You can make connections with people that you didn't know was possible. Like everything comes from resistance. Yeah. But I think it's like, people seek comfort way too much. I'm guilty of that.
I think, Pablo, I mean, that's a good example of like the past few years for me. Sure. Is there was so much resistance, and just even in my day to day at my last 9 to 5, and I knew, like, I've said this before and I'll say it again, like the decision is going to be made for you whether you like it or not. It will, because there's only a certain amount of suffering that a human can take before they either make a change or they pass on to the afterlife. That's the truth. There's only a certain amount of suffering that someone can take, or those two things will happen, right? Whether it's immediately dying or slow death. That's it. That's the truth. And I said this yesterday when we were making content. All these fucking videos, this self-help and the motivational and blah, 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 and you see this fucking asshole and that asshole yelling at you on your fucking feed. Guys, it can all be summed up by literally just understanding that this shit is hard. Like, business ownership is literally hard, dude. Especially if you went to public school and then you went to fucking college. You're literally having to unlearn and relearn how to be an entrepreneur, because we're not taught to be entrepreneurs in high school and in fucking college and by society. You know what I'm saying? But guys, forget all the motivation, and really this is the truth, is like, don't watch these videos for some sort, like looking for solace and like some sort of like relief, bro, because all it is a cop out. You can, guys, and I'm telling you guys, and look, he's 100 times more successful than me. But the reason I bring Gary Vee is because I think people misinterpret his message. Like, you think that Gary Vee is, you know, when you see him put his hand on someone's shoulder and he's like, empathy, bro. You think that he's like passive and like has a good heart, and like, of course, I think he does have a great heart. I'm not saying that at all. I think he's an amazing person. I really do. But you have to realize that he's a fucking savage that will rip your fucking head off your shoulders. That's what people don't understand, is like, he says be patient in the macro, but be hyper, intense in the micro, right? Which people miss. You don't want to be impatient. Why? Because it's gonna fuck your whole life up. If you're fucking constantly worrying about how you're not there, and you're also not putting the work in the fucking day to day, you're gonna be miserable, and you're gonna be super confused about life. But don't ever get it fucked up, guys. Like, if you wanna, I like the fucking what Eric Spofford says. Like, you have to violently approach success. Violence is involved, right? Getting your fucking hands dirty, not looking pretty, not being afraid to fucking fuck up publicly. That's the truth. And I even said this to another coach, John Mark Stevenson. You guys probably know John Mark. People call him my little brother because we kind of look alike. But I was saying to him, bro, like, people that do this business, like people that are, or just want to be successful in anything in life, like, it's fucking hard. And like, people have the wrong expectations going into this shit. They think it's going to be easy, and then when it's not, their fucking expectations are completely destroyed.
I think there's a lot of people that are online that are trying to find like the next quick thing. And I think that has become so viral, like in its like approach of like, overnight success, this Bitcoin, this, that, like quick ways to make money. Very like that, like almost like lottery mentality. Yeah. Like if I do this, I get this. If you really ask people that are successful, it's not an overnight thing. It doesn't happen quickly. Like, you not only have to find the way to make it happen, but you also have to become the person to perform it.
I was just about to say that, man.
You have to become. It's not what you get till you become.
And look, I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying there's these. these fucking absolutes in business ownership, right? Because at the end of the day, it's inputs and outputs. That's it. That's what business is. It's fucking inputs and outputs. The input is you and your team's effort, and the output is income. Like the whole get rich quick thing and the overnight success. It's like people can't. Like I said, business is inputs and outputs, but there's people that they literally think like they're gonna fuck off at their job and act like a fucking shitty person, and their subconscious is not recording that. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have to realize people think that like, wow, like you literally went from fucking 30 fucking K a year to making that in fucking 2 weeks in your business. And people think, like, it does seem fast. Sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, damn, that's actually fucking crazy. Like, less than 3 years, that's pretty wild. But then I realize, oh, I've been practicing this since I was fucking 23. Something that profound that I heard, and Grant Cardone said this actually, this changed everything for me. And by the way, guys, I'll just plug one of my favorite books for overall productivity is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I guarantee that it will change your life. You should definitely go read it. And in the 10X Rule, Grant basically explains like how he was a drug addict at 25, and he was constantly always trying to look for the best situation and blah, blah, blah. And he said that when he stopped trying to look for the best situation and just made the best of the situation that he was in, that's when he started to make money. He said the most important shift in income was going from that 3K a month to 6K a month, right? And I remember watching this old Grant Cardone training and saying like, he's like, you got people that are like, they're here and they want to be 100 millionaire, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about the step from what you're making right now, guys, to just doubling that. You guys want to make 100 grand a month, 50 grand a month, but can you take your 3 grand a month and just double that to 6? You get what I'm saying? When you stop looking for the perfect situation and you just make the situation that you're in the best that you can, that's when things will really change for you guys. You think that, guys, my last job, I was spraying weed killer. Was I passionate about that in any way, shape, or form? No. Did I let that hold me back? No. Because I knew, what did Grant Cardone said? He said, you gotta stop looking for the perfect situation. I was the poster child for that, bro. You could fucking pay me 25 more cents. I'll fucking leave and go work for you. That was literally how I thought. I was like, oh, it's a better situation. It was never better. Because I never got better. Because I was just avoiding the times where I could have grown. I just avoided it. I was like, I'll just get another job. Oh, I didn't like the way he told me to like mop the floor, so I'm just gonna get another job. When in reality, it's like, I could have learned something very valuable from that person. You know what I'm saying?
People run around from situation to situation thinking their situation will change. Like, I'm going to move to this state, it's going to get better. I'm going to move to this job, it's going to get better. If I change my boss changed, I'll get better. Reality is, everywhere you go, there you are.
Bro, everywhere you go, there you are. There you go. Bro, you have to fucking change. I fucking changed, bro. When I left my fucking ex-girlfriend's dad's house and moved in with my 2 buddies, living with my 2 buddies now and fucking I had no idea where my life was going. I was just working this fucking lawn fertilization job, and I had to believe in myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the truth, is like, with, like I said, going from that 3K a month to that 6K a month, it's like, bro, when I started working at this lawn fertilization job, I worked my way up into the company. I got 5 raises. I was there for 2 years, less than 2 years. I got 5 raises.
How'd you do that?
The way I did it was I literally stopped looking at the company as, we're just lining his pockets, and I shifted it. I did a complete perspective shift. I would say, I'm using him. I literally used to say that. I said, I'm using him, and nobody in this bitch is gonna outperform me. And no one fucking did. Until I hired my brother, and then he outperformed me. So think about that for a second, guys. I was spraying lawns. I got 5 raises in fucking less than 2 years. I showed up. I don't even want to say I showed up on time, because I really didn't. I was like 5-10 minutes late every day. But I always stayed late, and I always did way more than I could. I took leadership. I started to train other guys. I pitched the idea to my fucking boss to start a sales, a whole entire sales leg of the company, because it was all referrals. I'm like, dude, we could literally double business if we just start doing door to door. And that's what we were gonna do. Think about that. My old boss was building me an office in our new building. I was painting it. And then I left. So this wasn't like McDonald's. I was fucking frying fucking burgers. I was making over $20 an hour. I was a higher up at this company. I was gonna be fucking the top sales guy there. They didn't have a sales team. And then I left. And this was after I tattooed both sides of my neck too, and my face right here. So I literally could have stayed, you know? But it was because I knew, I said, bro, if I leave, I'm gonna do the same bullshit somewhere else, bro. The same bullshit. But once I finally improved and once I realized, I'm like, wait, I have all the skills. And then I started to think, I'm like, there's no way that I just worked 11 hours a day, every day for this motherfucker, and I'm not gonna do 16 for my fucking self now that I work for myself. And that's the mentality you have to have. You got that motherfucking dog in you, bruh.
Myre, to close, we're getting close here. Quick practicals, right? So like maybe a dot and jot style, real fast to help, 100%. The class, so to speak. We talked about the skill, having a product, a good skill, good product, something to offer. Quickly run us through like a dot and jot form, like you have to have this, you have to have this, you have to have this. Again, there's no perfect recipe, but just how you kind of experienced it.
100%. So again, and this is all based off my experience, right? You want to start a business, it starts with having a valuable skill and being good at something. You turn that into money when you can actually create an offer, which is like, what are you gonna give to people? Like Pablo said, the coffee example. And then when you learn sales, right? Those are the first 3 steps. Learn sales, you learn to have an offer, and then you have to be good at something first. But now keep in mind, where are 99% of your customers? They're on Instagram, they're on social media. So where are you gonna be making most of your content and promoting your business? On social media, right? Now this is barring the fact that you don't own a fucking tree trimming company, right? That sells to senior citizens. Then you'll be marketing in maybe a little bit of a different way. But if you have a similar business like Pablo or myself, you're gonna use social media to utilize that. So quick recap. Once you have the skill, once you have sales knowledge, once you know that you actually have something to be able to sell, you're gonna start making content on social media, okay? You have to have a sales system. That means when people come onto your social media, you have to have a way to turn those people into buying customers, which I can help you with. I'm a business coach. If you want to work with me, you can click the link below and you can work one-on-one with me. And I can teach you the sales system. I can teach you how to market. I can teach you how to make content. I've done this over a dozen times. I've had 4 of my clients hit 10 grand a month in their first month. Yes, I can help you do it too. You just have to be able to put in the work. So keep that in mind. You have to have a sales system. And really, guys, at the end of the day, when it comes to it from like a legal standpoint, you need an LLC, which is, you can get that on LegalZoom or taylorbrands.com. You need an EIN. You can get that for free from your government website, which is like your business's social security number. You need a business bank account, which mine's an online bank. That's super easy. Google best business bank accounts 2024. And then you need a, what was the last thing? You need a credit card processor, right? So I use Stripe. You can use Stripe. It's free to sign up. It'll charge you on every transaction that you run, and that's it, guys. That's literally it. I gave you the general sauce. Now, of course, it's a fucking business, bro. There's intricacies to everything.
Just like day-to-day stuff too, like Google Calendar, have a calendar, have like, maybe use your notes app or, stuff like that. Just basic stuff on how to like keep things like, because you can't, one thing I learned from a business mentor, you can't trust your brain. Don't keep it here, put it down somewhere. Like, you need to have like your systems in place. And if you don't know what that looks like, talk to a couple of people that are ahead of you in life and just like ask them how they do it.
100%, guys.
And just like utilize that. But I think all those points that you make are great. And you need those things in line. Make sure you have a decent tax person, because like if you don't, taxes are, I mean, we live in America, at least we do. I don't know what other country you may live in if you're watching this, but we live in America. There is a tax system here. You can use it to your advantage. You just have to hire people to know what they're doing so they can help you and make your dollar go farther.
100%.
So just know that.
That's the last part. That's why I have Pablo here to remind me, pay my taxes.
Yes. Pay your taxes.
We have the same tax people too. We have the same tax people.
Not for long though.
Well,
we're moving on.
Anyway, so guys, wrapping up here, just to kind of, I want to say thank you guys for watching. I really hope, I think this is one of our most valuable podcasts for sure, from a practical level. Really quick, guys, if you want to work with me to get in shape, the best shape of your life, if you, just want to reach that next level of, in your life physically, work with me one-on-one. Let's get you on the team. Let's get you in shape so you can just knock that domino down and then take care of the rest of the things in your life, right? It needs to be the base. If you want to build your business, guys, I'm specifically helping fitness coaches build their online businesses. So if you are a personal trainer or if you're someone that's in shape, that's helping other people get in shape, and you're working a job that you don't like, or you're not happy with your current situation, and you see other people making insane money online through fitness coaching, like myself and like my peers, and you want to do that yourself, you can click the link below, you can apply. You'll get a text from me, from my business phone. So if you apply, you'll get a text from me, and we can talk about getting you on the team, seeing if you're a good fit, if you're qualified, and if this is something you're ready to do. Lastly, clear my throat. No Victim Apparel, my clothing company, guys. We just recently had a few new releases. So we restocked these shirts. These are the No Victim shirts with the fucking flames on the back. These are called the Between the Lines tees. We got these in black and white. We also have 2 tank top colorways, black, white, and then the 2 shorts colorways, black and white. So Pablo's wearing them right now. Champion. What else do we got? We restocked the sweats, and we also restocked the black hoodies.
Oh, hoodies, that's right.
Black hoodies, yeah. So if you want to get any of that stuff, you can click the link below. You can. What I would do is I would sign up for our email list, save 10%, and you can rock the brand, and you can become part of the No Victim family. So guys, which by the way, we run everything in-house. Behind me, you can't see this, but we have a bunch of inventory in boxes behind me. This closet is filled to the brim with inventory. I pack and send all the orders myself. So keep that in mind, guys. It's a very, it's all hands on, and appreciate the love, appreciate the support. I'll let Pablo plug his stuff. Last thing, at Gabe No Victim on everything. Pablo, take it away, close us out.
At Pablo Farnan on everything. If you need any help, if you're a business owner, know a business owner, if you have your own company, large or small, speaker, influencer, whatever you might be, I help create content for all of those. Gabe is one of my clients. I love traveling. I love local. I live in the tri-state, New York, Philly, but I help people create content on just every level, video, photo, and it's something that I love to do, and I'm here to help in any way that I can. Thank you for joining us. Episode 6 was a good one.
Episode 6.
We'll see you in the 7th.
Peace out.